Hello and welcome to Bargain Bin. This week we are a bunch of cave dwellers, and I'll pass you over to our guide, Jamie, to dig us a little bit deeper into the dungeon/jungle.
Dungeon/jungle indeed, because today I will be guiding you along with my co-host and love of my life, Jonathan, through a game called Dunjungle, which, as Johnny set up, I believe is a take on the word dungeon, but jungle. But instead, every time I say it out loud, I feel like I'm pretty much just saying dung jungle. And let me tell you, this game is not full of dung. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. I think it's anti-dung. It's pretty fun and good. So unless you qualify dung as fun and good and really enjoyable and something that you really love,
Which some people do.
then it could be dung jungle for you. But if that's not you, it's not full of dung. It's not dung jungle. It's dun jungle.
Fun jungle.
Hey, there you go. All right, so to give a little summary of this game that we played this week, we cheated a little bit and went back to a game that was released on December 10th, so not really in the bounds of the last game we played and this week, which isn't completely a requirement for the games we pick, but we do try to pick something that's more newly released, and turns out just over the holidays there wasn't much to offer. So, like I said, Dunjungle was released on December 10th. It was developed by a solo indie game dev named Bruno Bombardi. I believe they're from Argentina. The game is $9.99 on Steam. I don't know if it's available on other platforms. I unfortunately forgot to check. And the Steam summary says that Dunjungle is a 2D action-packed rogue-lite about a monkey hero protecting the jungle from the rise of a corruptive power. Explore ever-changing dungeons, fight weird enemies, and gear up with lots of weapons and relics you can combine for a new experience every run. Explore, fight, die, and repeat. And that's pretty much exactly what it is. A lot of the reviews said it scratched the same itch as Dead Cells, which we can maybe talk a little bit more about later. But this is pretty much, an action 2D platformer roguelite.
Very good with the genres, Jamie. I'm proud of you.
I had to ask Johnny pretty much what all of those meant earlier this week.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty arbitrary and stupid, the game genres, I think.
Yeah.
Or really any genre, but games in particular just have a lot of dumb names.
Because I knew it was a platformer, but then I was like, why does it have to be called an action platformer? Why do you need that in there? But then Johnny explained to me because it's based on action/combat, and 2D because it's 2D, and a roguelike because you start over, but not fully start over.
Yeah, I mean, the action part is key just to, distinguish a Dunjungle or a Dead Cells from, a Mario, because technically they are both platformers, but it's
very different games.
Yeah, quite different vibes. In Dunjungle and Dead Cells, you're killing stuff, and in Mario, I guess where do the Goombas go when they die?
It's hard to say.
I suppose it is death, though.
It's something that we don't really want to think about.
Those poor Goombas, pour one out.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about Dead Cells. Oh, I mean Dunjungle, because if you've ever played Dead Cells, I do want to just state it off the top, it's kind of identical. I mean, it's different graphics, but as far as the gameplay and the upgrade system and the progression loops, if you've played Dead Cells and enjoyed it, you're going to be right at home playing Dunjungle. Now that said, I'm not the biggest Dead Cells fan, so I haven't played a ton of it, and I also didn't play as much Dunjungle as Jamie, so I want her to lead this conversation and also tell me and inform me about all of the wonderful, unique elements of Dunjungle that I didn't get to see because I didn't play as much of it.
Yeah, and I had only briefly opened Dead Cells this past week because Johnny had said that they were pretty much replicas of each other. So I wanted to test it out and see what I thought. And he's right. I mean, the mechanics and like being able to pick up secondary weapons and kind of the flow of the game and even some of the effects that can happen, upgrades you buy, like the mechanics in that regard are pretty much completely identical. But I mean, if you're sensitive to like game art and worlds, I think it will feel like a different experience. Like again, the art is very different, the world's different, the maps are set up differently. I feel like Dead Cells felt a little overwhelming to me, and it feels more serious. And I mean, there was humor, like some of the dialogue was pretty funny in Dead Cells, but it feels like a bit more intense to me. It gives me a bit of a Hades vibe too. Like there's humor, but it feels kind of intense.
Dead Cells is kind of like the whole conceit is that you are like a dead prisoner, like rising up and fighting all these undead things. So it is grim dark in that way. And Dunjungle is quite different. You're like a cute little monkey who saves other cuter, smaller monkeys, and they fight with you. Which is cute.
But even in, I feel like the art style, like Dunjungle, I feel like uses bigger pixels. I don't actually know how all this art works, whereas Dead Cells felt like on a smaller scale.
Yeah, the Dunjungle art style is more, it's kind of comic, or I guess it harkens back to a little bit more of a retro game vibe, even though I think the pixel art is beautiful. It does feel more cartoonish than Dead Cells.
Yeah, and even something like that right off the bat, I feel like influenced me or helped me feel cozier and more at home playing Dunjungle right away rather than Dead Cells. So I know like something earlier this week Johnny mentioned wanting to hear me talk about is what the value is of games that are mechanically pretty much complete replicas of each other. And I think as I was exploring Dead Cells and playing more of Dunjungle, I think the answer I came to was that when the art and the feel and the story is different enough, I think it can speak to different game players and make different players feel more at home playing one game over another. I think I would really enjoy to play Dead Cells more, especially because I have really loved the flow and mechanics of Dunjungle, but I think I personally, feel more at home playing Dunjungle. And so I think there is value in having that variety even on a small level between games that are mechanically very similar.
Yeah, I really like that point, and I think it says a lot about, I guess not to be diminishing, but like the dressing of a game where it's like, the art, the sound design, the narrative, even in a game that, it's unarguable that Dunjungle and Dead Cells are not, driven by their narrative, they're driven by their gameplay. But like the small narrative beats and the way the developers kind of like nudge their world toward, a cozier or more friendly or cuter vibe, or like a more grim, scary or what have you vibe, like that can make a huge difference for how accessible a game is to, like you said, different communities of folks. And so I think it's really cool that both exist. And I think that that's a great answer as to like the value of having something like a Dunjungle, where it's like, for me personally, I don't think there would be a place in my gaming, calendar or time frame, I guess you could say, to like play both consistently, just because I get very similar like vibes from both. But I think like having one versus the other that you prefer or feel more comfortable or excited to play, that's like provides huge value, because if you're not really into grimdark stuff and you don't like the vibe of Dead Cells, you might not get into like the wonderful mechanics therein. And I think it's like certainly worthwhile to play one of these, so it's cool to hear that answer.
Yeah, and while playing this game, like I think again kind of speaking onto like just the cozier, cuter, like goofy, funny style of it, I found myself like constantly just kind of in awe or like feeling full of joy of the things that I was quote unquote discovering in the game, or just kind of the new things that were there. I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll probably talk about some of the specifics. So I would say that if you're someone who like also gets a lot of joy out of discovering new things in a game or like figuring out what different stuff is, maybe this is like the part of the spoiler alert section, where if you just think you'd be interested in this game, it's like a really well done game. I think you should go get it and go try it. There are a lot of like new things the game throws at you that I found a lot of joy in discovering. So you can try to skip ahead maybe to the endorsement section if you want, and you don't want to like hear those aspects. Because there's just like so much that this game has to offer. And I think initially, like, it looks simple on the surface. And as you're going through the maps, like each level or room is pretty simple. Like, it's not an intricate maze by any means. And the enemies, like, their attacks aren't, like, it just on the surface like looks very simple, but they're always throwing new things at you. And there's always new things. I was like, what is this? I haven't seen this before. And I'm in like my 6th run of this floor, like same floor, but suddenly there's this new enemy I'm seeing, or this like baby bunny I accidentally killed, and then its mom is coming after me screaming, why'd you kill my son?
A valid question, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to it, it's one of the more valid video game questions you'll ever be asked.
I did feel very guilty.
Jamie, back up for a second, and for people who maybe have never played Dead Cells or Dunjungle, can you just walk us through like what, you know, the loop of the game looks like? Like, where do you start? What are you doing? What's kind of the whole deal?
Yeah, that probably would be good to cover.
Basically,
there are, we can call them maybe different layers. I believe in this game there are 4 different layers. I think it's 4, not 5. I believe it's 4. And in each of those layers, there are a number of rooms. I think that number is kind of random, but maybe ranges from 6 to 10. And eventually, after going through those rooms, you'll face a boss. And there are enemies in each room. There's loot. You can get upgrades. You can find a primary weapon, secondary weapons. There's a variety of each of those. So you can kind of choose what you like. There's relics that give you, power-ups and upgrades. So you're going through each room, kind of balancing how much of the room you want to explore and potentially take damage. You do have health. If you lose all your health, you die. Versus like wanting to get all of the loot a room has to offer. And then eventually, at the end of a layer, there's a boss room, and you have to defeat the boss in order to progress to the next layer. And then the rogue-lite sense is that after you die, you accumulate banana gems that do roll over. And then with those, you can buy permanent upgrades, such as increasing your amount of health, increasing like what you can heal, the weapons you have access to, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's a great rundown. And what were some of your favorite parts?
I mean, I feel like having access to the upgrades isn't that unique. It was funny when I saw all the upgrades available after dying for the first time. I was like, whoa, there are so many. And then I played just a little bit of Dead Cells, and I was like, whoa, there are so many. So in that sense, like, Dead Cells felt overwhelming in a way, and I was grateful for the so many that wasn't so many of Dunjungle. But one of my favorite parts, well, I have a few different favorite parts. Some of the upgrades you can get are costumes that you can wear, and the costumes give you different power-ups. And it's just kind of like a silly little thing where you put on a costume and you like look like a dog, or you look like a vampire, or you look like a dinosaur, but they give you special upgrades. So that's just kind of another one of the aspects that makes the game a little cozier, a little sillier. But then my absolute favorite part of this game, which makes it, spoiler alert, an immediate endorsement for me, is that there are little baby monkeys that you can free in each of your runs, and then they travel along with you and battle beside you, and they're so stinking cute. And every layer has a baby monkey that's like unique to that style. So there's like a crypt layer with an undead baby monkey. There's like a dinosaur volcanic lava layer with a flaming baby monkey. That's kind of funny to say. Flaming just, I don't know. Flaming baby monkey. There's a fish layer with like a water baby monkey. I won't say all of them. There's a lot. And they're so cute.
And they do help with fighting. You can sometimes just stand on a ledge and they'll go kill all the enemies below it.
Yeah, and you can power them up more. There's like a costume that leans into letting your familiars and summons like do more damage. So yeah, there's a lot of different builds you can do, as one might expect out of a game like this, or at least a game that's well done. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is quite deep as far as like the different builds you can go with, where there are weapons that like speed up the more you hit an enemy. And so you can go for like a speed build, or you can go for like a heavy build or a defense build. There's so many, as with any of these types of like progression based roguelites, it's like you really can test out a number of different like weapons and fighting styles to see which one vibes with you the most, or which one you're most successful with. I also think like just mentioning like dodge rolling is like a big part of the game, as far as like you can't get hit when you're dodge rolling. So like, running, double jumping, dodge rolling, it's a very motion based platformer in that way too, where it's like you'll come upon an enemy you didn't really see there, and you'll have to dodge roll quickly and then stab it in the back. And like there's a lot of cool minute to minute gameplay things like that as well. And dodge rolling is an important part of the boss fights too, which has like a little bit of a Souls like element to it, which is another buzzword genre that doesn't make any sense outside the video game space, but presumably if you're listening to this, you kind of get the vibe there.
Yeah, and on the same realm of like dodge rolls and kind of thinking about the combat, I didn't again get very far into Dead Cells, so I don't know how the enemies there progress and what their attacks are like, but I do feel like with Dunjungle, while there is a variety in what the enemies look like and some of the things they do, I think on the surface like they're pretty simple, and so are the bosses. And so there is an aspect where I think there'd be an easy world in which the game is kind of boring because of the simplicity of the enemies and the bosses. But I actually feel like this game does a really good job balancing that, because there's like a variety in the enemies, even if the things they do are pretty simple. If you're someone who really likes art and just visuals, like they always look different and are kind of moving different or are layered on top of each other. Like there's these little masked, I think, apes that were corrupted that throw spears, but in each level, like they become different. Sometimes they can teleport. Sometimes they're riding on top of a dinosaur and will charge you. So there's little nuances and changes like that. And then for the bosses, there are different bosses you can battle for each of the same layers. So if you're only battling the same boss every time, I think they're simple enough that you would master them pretty quickly and it wouldn't seem challenging. But the game instead sprinkles in a variety of bosses, so you kind of get some change up there, and it also keeps it fresh. And then the other thing the game does to keep things fresh is that after you have completed a layer past the first layer, you unlock kind of a different parallel layer that you can go through. So for example, the second layer, initially you only have open the crypts, but once you make it through the crypts, then when you're back on a new run and you get to the new layer where there's the crypts, you have another door open that's like an underwater world. So it's a nice way that the game kind of keeps what maybe on the surface is pretty simple, keeps it fresh and engaging and challenging, just being able to discover and encounter new enemies or environments.
Yeah, I mean, just a quick note, just piggybacking off that for a little bit, like the value and replayability of this game cannot be like understated, as far as like for $10. I know you've been playing it a ton, and like seems like you haven't, gotten everything out of it, like even nearly so. So there's like so much to unlock. And if you're the type of person that, wants to get the most bang for your buck, and maybe are coming to this show because there's bargain in the name, like that's a really important aspect of this game, at least in my mind, for like determining its, value and place in the show, is like for $10, I don't think you'll get like many more hours out of a game than you will out of this one.
Yeah, it, I think, certainly falls into the realm of a bargain that you would find in the bargain bin. It's a really well done game. Like Johnny said, I think the replayability level is high. If like this is a style of a game you really like, I would expect this game to be closer to, I think, like the $20 range. So the fact that it's $10, it's basically like a forever and eternal Steam sale for 50% off.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. What did you think of the sound design? I know we've talked a little bit about the art, but I would love to hear more about your opinion on the art style, but then also a little bit about the sound design from you.
I loved it. I feel like it was very immersive. I didn't ever find myself getting annoyed with like any of the soundtracks. Like I don't really remember picking up on anything, and I believe each of the layers has a different background music, which we love. I think I would have more of a complaint if it was the same soundtrack or background music in each layer. I think that I would have found that a bit of a missed opportunity, but it's all different. I think I got to like the volcano lava / dinosaur layer, and it was like this really like vibey music, and I was like bopping my head around, and it just like fit the atmosphere and the scene. I think the sound effects for the enemies is really good. You can make monkey sounds as the monkey as you're rolling around. There are sounds for that. Yeah, I think the sound design was really great and immersive.
Yeah, it's polished just like a lot of the other aspects of it. I agree. And then as far as like the playability on, maybe a PC or like mouse and keyboard setup versus like gamepad, you do have to use a controller, I think. But it was like a great experience both on, the Steam Deck and playing on like a TV or PC with a controller, I think.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. I mostly played on my PC, but played on my Steam Deck a couple of times, and I kind of found it easier to play on the Steam Deck because the screen was smaller, actually. Like, I think when I was playing full screen on my PC, there was just so much to take in on such a wide area that I was missing a lot more things. But when I played on my Steam Deck and then later didn't play full screen on my PC, I think I actually started doing a little bit better because I could just take in what was going on the smaller screen a little bit easier. So that was kind of like a funny thing that I discovered after playing on the Steam Deck.
Interesting. Yeah, that's interesting to hear. I mostly played on Steam Deck, and yeah, it was a great experience. Okay, Jamie, anything else to say before we head on to our other segments to endorse or not endorse, and then binnable moments?
I don't think so. I mean, like I said, it's a really enjoyable game. There's a lot of things to discover, and that's really fun. Just, yeah, not much else to say there.
Very descriptive. Okay, well, I think it will come as no surprise to people that Jamie
endorses it.
Wonderful jam. And just before I go, I will say, I'll do a quick plug. Jamie's been streaming this game a lot. If you're on Twitch or YouTube, head over to Lil Red Jam. Is it Lil?
No, full little.
Little Red Jam. All one word.
Yeah. I am mostly doing the streaming on Twitch. I've been trying to figure out how to do it on both Twitch and YouTube's struggling. But I've been posting videos to YouTube. Sometimes it's some like VODs, recordings of the gameplay. I'll probably start posting some videos of like game review versions of the podcast on there. So
well, you already did one, but I want that to be a binnable moment. So
correct.
Let's scooch you on. Although if you are interested in just like seeing Dunjungle, like art and a little bit of gameplay here and there, Jamie's also putting up like shorts, which are really accessible if you don't want to like head over for the full stream. I've been finding those nice.
Facts.
For me, I would endorse the game. It's not something that like really scratches my itch quite as much. Like I enjoyed my time with it, and I could see myself going back for a run here and there. But it's not something for me that like I find, endlessly compelling, but at the price point and, kind of embodying its genre to, as good as I've seen it, like it's as good as Dead Cells, which is a great achievement because Dead Cells is like, an all-timer for a lot of people. Like, head over and buy it. I definitely endorse it. So go Dunjungle.
I do really appreciate that we have mostly different styles in games, because I think it is cool to hear like the different sides of like someone who loves the style of game, and then if you're a listener who's on the boat of maybe not really enjoying the style as much, like having someone else who can review the game and say like, give you an opinion on if you might enjoy it even if it's not your style. Because I feel like there's some games out there where even if they're not really the style you like to play, like they can be so good that you'll still love it. So I just wanted to say I appreciate that our styles are different enough to provide those different perspectives.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And it's like the sort of thing where if you're, like I said, if you're curious about the genre, you won't find a better one at a better price point than Dunjungle. So I would go for it. I had fun with it, even though I'm not a huge like action platformer guy.
Yeah. And I feel like I would say like if Dead Cells feels a bit overwhelming to you, but you've been intrigued by it, but you're maybe a little scared of it or like hesitant, I do think Dunjungle would be a great alternative to try.
Which is so wild because I just heard myself say I'm not a big action platformer guy, and yet like I've been kind of compulsively playing Spelunky this week, and it's like it's just, I think you could call Spelunky like a roguelite action platformer too, but it's so different than Dunjungle. Like Dunjungle is way more like weapons and you're overpowered, and Spelunky's more, it's almost like a puzzle game in that. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of hard to articulate, but the vibes of the games are so different. Where Dunjungle and Dead Cells are way more like martial oriented. Like it's way more about like having weapons and like building up like synergies.
Dodging, having your specific build.
It's a bit more about like power fantasy ninja, whereas like then Spelunky's like you're a little twerp, like trying to avoid traps and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe that just speaks to who I am at my core. But
no, I mean, I think it is fascinating how games can on paper like seem so similar but play so differently and attract people for such different reasons.
Yeah, for sure. Binnable moments, we've touched on some of them, but Jamie, I want to hear about your most recent Little Red Jam video epic that you spent a lot of time on this weekend.
Yeah, so since the last pod, it was announced that I have in fact been doing some streaming, and of course since I've been on the YouTubes, there's been a lot of influence to try my hand at some actually edited videos. So I did try to make a game review video for Orbis, which we played as our second game of the bargain bin, and I'm proud of myself for doing it. It did take me like 6 hours to complete, maybe longer. So I'm a little...
But it's a good video.
Thank you. I think so too. For it being my first one, I did spend a lot of time on it. We'll see. It made me a little hesitant to want to... I mean, I will try to make more. We'll see if I stick with it, because it was a lot of work. And it makes me really respect and appreciate the people out there who are putting a lot of time into videos.
YouTubers. YouTube. Anything else you did this week that was fun or noteworthy or enjoyable?
I can't really remember. Honestly, I've like been so focused on the streaming and making videos and just like getting that all set up and trying to hit the ground running with it. I think that's been the bulk of my attention. I mean, it was the holidays. We got to spend some good time together. You made some really yummy food that I don't know if that will be part of your binnable moment, but it was really delicious and it brought me a lot of joy.
Hey, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I've been baking some bread. Jamie and me have been going on some nice walks with our dog.
Yeah, binnable moment, actually. The atmospheric river in Seattle is not atmospheric rivering anymore, and we have had sunlight for like multiple days in a week.
I saw the sun set today, believe it or not.
Yeah,
it was so clear that I could see the colors in the sky besides gray.
It was some beautiful photos while I was at my computer trying to see if I could finish Dunjungle.
Yeah, other than that, I've been playing the shit out of Spelunky and Griftlands, which is this deck building card game that I really love from a few years back. So if you're like a Slay the Spire person, but you're looking for a little bit of like interest in different mechanics and a cool story, I cannot recommend Griftlands highly enough. I think it's like my favorite game kind of by far, so that's kind of surprising. Spelunky's also there. They just do very different things for me, but I've been digging into my loves of those two things. Yeah, other than that, bacon, walking the dog, chilling out.
It's been a very big chill week with the holidays.
Oh, we watched the worst movie ever.
Oh, yeah. That definitely needs an honorable mention.
The Oxford Murders.
It was so bad.
2008, Elijah Wood and John Hurt just absolutely take a shit all over the screen. It's horrible.
Yeah, so bad that I would recommend you watch it.
Yeah, especially if you like murder mysteries or like the mid-2000s. Like, there's really just endless joy and confusion as to what the hell is going on.
What percentage did it have on Rotten Tomatoes?
23.
An astounding, a whopping 23%.
It's so bad. You will feel like you just threw a couple hours of your life away, but in the best way possible.
And I will clarify, actually, I don't recommend you watch it alone. I recommend you watch it with some friends that you will enjoy just absolutely shitting over this movie that is shitting over your time.
Shitting over a movie.
Yeah.
Like spewing it over the TV.
Yeah, because it doesn't deserve to have it on it.
I see. All right. And you don't want to get your TV dirty.
No.
Well, may your TVs be clean and your new year be bright. If you're a resolutions person, do that. If you just want to hang out, please do that instead. That's more my speed. But
follow your heart out there.
We've really enjoyed talking to you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Love y'all.
Soil Day Radio.
For a community of weirdos built on words. Find out more at soildayradio.com.